Okay, this is from my book, Prevent and Reverse Disease, Obesity by me, Pete Rogers. We're like on page 7. The less fat you eat, the skinnier you will be. So the fewer the percentage of calories from fat, the skinnier you'll be. Here's some quotes by Dr. John McDougall, the greatest doctor who ever lived. He said, the fat you eat is the fat you wear. Excess fat is the biggest toxin in the Western diet. Fat is so easily absorbed across the gut and placed into the fat tissues of our body that if you do a biopsy of it, it'll match the percentage of fat you just ate in your meal. It doesn't get changed much before it's absorbed into the body. Fat is stored dry. That's why you can store tons of fat in your body. Carbohydrate, like glycogen, is stored wet with a couple molecules of glucose attached to it. So you can only store about a day's worth of glycogen in your liver to maintain your blood glucose level. Your muscle also stores some for exercise, but you can store about 60 days or more of fat in your fat tissue. The higher the percentage of calories from fat, the fatter the population. The body wants to burn starch for energy. Protein is for structural stuff, building stuff. Fats for storage, okay? You shouldn't eat that much protein because excess protein makes people sick. High protein diets are associated with constipation, hyperlipidemia. They raise blood cholesterol. This also raises the question, what foods are lowest in fat? So the lowest fat starches, it's pretty obvious. Things like white rice has 1% of calories from fat. Same thing with potatoes, sweet potatoes. Fruits, most fruits are low in fat. Another trick is you don't want to drink your calories. So don't be, if you're trying to lose weight, guzzling down your calories, that makes it harder to lose weight because you can guzzle down tons of calories really fast, especially with some type of sweetened drink. Some fruits should be avoided if they're high in fat. You don't want to eat avocados. Avocados are the worst. Never eat avocados. Especially now they spray that APL stuff on them. It's got really toxic potential contaminants in it. Plus it tends to, be a fungicide. I don't know specifically what enzyme it inhibits, but fungicides commonly inhibit complex 2 of intermitochondrial membrane, succinate dehydrogenase, and that's really bad. That activates hypoxia pathways, sort of like similar to cancer. I would never eat that stuff. Should never eat processed food. When I say processed food, ultra processed food, anything with more than one ingredient in it. Olives are too fat. Olive oil is a poison. Don't eat it. Coconuts are too fat. Nuts and seeds, too much fat. Jackfruit, passion fruit, kumquats. Oh, okay, this is a little bit of a joke here. So it says avoid jackfruit, passion fruit, kumquats, and horny melon. And it says if you are a man, once you lose the weight, you will become more attractive to women, and you will finally get to play with some real melons. Okay, so there's a lot of jokes in here, silly jokes. I wrote this book real fast, and I was in a good mood, so I just made all these stream of consciousness jokes. Well, you can paint me yellow and call me a taxi, but that doesn't change the fact that nuts are classified as fruits. No nuts, no seeds, no avocados. You must obey this or you'll end up just another shipwrecked chump. You're going to see a lot of people when you get them to tell the truth about their weight loss, they couldn't lose their weight. A lot of people write that to me that they were so glad I told them to stop with the nuts and the seeds because once they did that, they were able to lose their weight. They couldn't do it before then, and their blood pressures improved as well. Don't pay attention to all the people on the internet telling you that nuts and seeds are health foods. There's nothing magic about the fat in nuts and seeds. You shouldn't be eating that stuff. They also got, more glycation end products in them. You don't want that stuff. Okay, and then you want to eat organic only because they spray, a lot of this subsidized food, I think, is to sterilize the proles, Look at the soy sprayed with glyphosate. Soy is bad for your endocrine system. Glyphosate's also an estrogenic chemical. It damages your mitochondria. Atrazine sprayed on the corn is another mitochondria inhibitor. Complex 3, estrogenic chemical, feminizing chemical. Your tap water is full of estrogenic chemicals. Your fluoride is toxic to your gut, toxic to your mitochondria. Aluminum is also toxic to your gut, your mitochondria, and your pancreas. Okay. Estrogenic chemicals are obesogen. Estrogen is a fat storage hormone. Okay, a little bit about the shipwrecked. Because I said shipwrecked chumps who eat all these high-fat foods. And so here's a beautiful painting by Claude Vernet, 1773, The Shipwreck. A couple quotes real quick here from this author, Jose Ortega Gasset. He said, "To live is to feel oneself lost. He who accepts this has already begun to find himself to be on firm ground. Instinctively, as do the shipwrecked, he will look around for something to cling to, and that tragic glance is sincere because it is a question of his salvation. It will cause him to bring order into the chaos of his life. These are the only genuine ideas, the ideas of the shipwrecked. All the rest is rhetoric, posturing, and farce." Yeah, when you realize you're screwed. If you don't go low fat, vegan, or something close to it, you're pretty much screwed. Okay? The drugs don't work. You're not going to cure these dietary diseases with a drug. The surgeries don't work. You know? You know, what are you going to do? Cut your stomach apart? You think that's going to optimize your health? You think all these pills are going to poison your way to health? No. You know, you eat the diet that humans are designed to eat, a low-fat, plant-based diet. Okay, then here's another joke. This is Pygmalion and Galatea. So Pygmalion was the Greek sculptor, and he made a beautiful lady statue, and he fell in love with her, and then he sort of prayed to the gods that she would come alive. And this picture is, there's Cupid, with the arrow of love. In real life, you teach her to lose weight, she gets all skinny, and then she thinks she's too good for you. Okay, so this is by Jean-Léon Geron. Pygmalion was a sculptor, and he fell in love with a statue of a woman. He named her Galatea. In real life, that's like me coaching fat chicks on how to become skinny. As they become skinnier, they get prettier and prettier. In the beginning, they loved me and clung to every word from my mouth. However, as they became more beautiful, they also became more stuck up. And then they thought they were too good for me. I made all these stupid jokes. I almost can't even read them. They sounded funny when I was writing them. Now they almost sound silly. I feel silly reading them. But anyways, the book is full of all these jokes. It was kind of like a stream of consciousness. And then, all right, so I got all kinds of jokes about how I don't like to coach fat women anymore, because if you tell them straight out and you're blunt, they think you're mean and cruel and they get mad. But if you try to be nice to them and kind of gentle, then they think you're flirting with them. So either way, it's not worth talking to them. Anyways, it's all here in this book. That'll be the end of part 2. Hope you find it helpful.